He is one of our go-to guys when we talk politics and local races, and he is a professor, actually the chair of the Political Science and Geography Department at the University of Texas, San Antonio. He is Professor Jon Taylor. Jon, thank you for joining us. A lot of talk today, and the president certainly talked about it in his long news conference today, about voting rights. And it seems as if it's doomed in its current package. That doesn't necessarily mean it's dead, right?
That's correct. It's not dead, but I mean, and the president left the door open to compromise. He left the door open to breaking the bill apart in order to get something accomplished, to get it done. In particular, I think he was aiming this idea of breaking the bill apart to get, at least an aspect of voting rights passed. He's trying to placate both Senator Sinema and Senator Manchin.
But we are still expecting a vote in the Senate this evening, right? So what are you watching there?
I mean, are we going to get to that 60-vote threshold for to prevent a filibuster? The answer is no, we're not. We're going to see a majority vote in favor of it. Let's see what Republican jumps in. I'm not. If I were a Democrat, I would say don't be optimistic. You're going to see many, if any, Republicans jump in to support the bill.
Yeah, they seem like a pretty united front right now against it. I want to hopscotch around to some different events and some different political races that we're talking about. A lot of numbers have been coming out over the last few days. Beto O'Rourke actually in San Antonio today. The governor was here last week, certainly pointing out, I think, that San Antonio and South Texas it's going to be a big player in this governor's race. You agree with that?
No question whatsoever. It's definitely in play. Going back to last November, December, when you had the special election for House District 118, you had a concerted Republican effort. You had push by the Republican National Committee to have outreach offices both in the Valley and here in San Antonio. There's going to be a real push for competition. And San Antonio, and in many respects, South Texas, but San Antonio especially, I think is going to be the epicenter of this.
Any reaction to the numbers that we've seen so far? The Beto O'Rourke campaign reporting that they raised something in excess of $7 million. But when you look at the war chest that Governor Abbott has right now, there are a lot of people who seem to think his biggest challenge could come from within his party.
Yeah, we'll do the first part with Beto and then about his own challenge or own party challenge. Beto raised $7+ million, which is fantastic for a Democrat, for a party that has not controlled the governorship in 24 years. And so you're talking about a generational issue when it comes to fundraising and running an effective statewide campaign. He came the closest to running an effective statewide campaign when he ran for Senate, obviously, a few years ago. But I mean, Abbott has raised an amazing amount of money. Can that be overcome? The answer is, of course it can. A variety of events can occur. Abbott can have a slip up in terms of his leadership. There could be something out of the blue that affects things. And in general, there just may be a general malaise toward a third term for Greg Abbott. That said, Democrats need to understand the playing field. The playing field is right now, Greg Abbott has a substantial war chest, the largest war chest for a gubernatorial candidate since the 2002 race between Rick Perry and I'm blanking on his name. That tells you how effective he was. He lost by a 2-1 majority. On the Republican side, Greg Abbott is feeling the heat. Now, that said, Don Huffines and Alan West, and there's a third guy, Chad Prather, we're going to set him aside because he's not raising a lot of money. Alan West has raised maybe about $3 million, $2.5 million. Don Huffines, who is a very wealthy man and can self-finance, the Texas Ethics Commission numbers show today he's raised somewhere around maybe $3.5–5 million. It doesn't count the amount of money he's self-financed or donated. And you may have seen his billboards and his advertisements around town on TV during the Cowboys game, in fact, the other day. He's putting the pressure on that way. But Abbott, obviously, because Abbott can literally control the airwaves. He can control the ground game as well, just because of the amount of money. But money is not everything. You can overcome money, but it's going to take a substantial grassroots effort. I'm not sure that's going to happen in the Republican primary. So we're now talking Democrats again. It's going to take a substantial grassroots effort on the part of O'Rourke between now and November to overcome that Abbott money advantage.
You had to bring up the Cowboys. A lot of people still feeling the pain of
Yeah, well,
I want to
I feel
continue.
your pain.
Yeah.
I want to keep going with our political hopscotch and talk about what's happening in Bexar County. The Bexar County judges race, a big one because it's going to be a new name no matter what happens. So what are you looking for in that race?
And with all due respect to Republicans, the Republican race, I think, is not nearly as competitive. I think you've got a candidate pretty much set there.
Right,
It's on
Trish
the
DeBerry.
Trish DeBerry. So it's on the Democratic side. And once you've got three candidates if someone was a Democrat, the question is leadership and experience. It's a question of effectiveness. It's a question of, connections and such. And all three have that. So you've got Judge Sakai, who's a longtime state judge. You've got Ina Mineras, a state representative, and you have Meza, Mayor Nurnberg's chief of staff. All three of which have the qualifications to be county judge. Now, some could argue, you don't want a younger person in as county judge. I would give you Harris County, where you had a very young person elected as county judge there. That's not to say age is a factor at all. It shouldn't be a factor. But it's going to be interesting in terms of in this case, not just the fundraising game, but the ground game, because in Bexar County, you're talking about retail politics still. You're talking about, particularly in a Democratic primary, door to door, kissing babies, going to events. And let's see what happens in the next roughly 4 or 5 weeks.
And none of these three Democratic candidates have run a campaign like that before. So that's the interesting part. It's such an unknown. We're all just guessing right now on who we think. I mean, I've had different people tell me each of those different three names that you mentioned, they think are the favorites. So that tells me nobody knows who the favorite is right now.
No, exactly. Which is great about being a political scientist and a news person, because we can basically comment on this until election day.
There you go.
Anybody's game at this point. Jon Taylor.
That's right, it is.
Always appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Pleasure. All right, guys.
Thank you, Jon.